Meanwhile, more than 30 hours after over 200 children from a primary and secondary school in Kuriga Chikun Local government area of Kaduna State were kidnapped, there has been no demand for ransom made by the abductors. A security expert is calling for the training of youths in intelligence gathering to support the security agencies. Correspondent Ransom reports.
There is limited information available a day after more than 200 students were kidnapped from a primary and secondary school in Kuriga, Kaduna State. No videos have surfaced, and there are no reports of ransom demands from the abductors. Governor Sani on Thursday visited Kuriga, promising to establish security outposts in the affected community. But the crucial question on everyone's mind is how the short-term and long-term responses will effectively address this menace. Security experts suggest that these bandits may be foot soldiers working for influential people in the society.
Those people in the bush are the laborers doing the job for the think tank who are living with us in the cities, educated ones, maybe some dismissed service personnel and so on and so forth. Disgruntled, who will plan and just tell these bad people to execute.
Retired Major Bashir's perspectives on sustainable security measures is contrary to calls for increased ground presence to complement military efforts. He advocates for recruiting and training of youths in intelligence gathering rather than combat.
Be it in the marketplace, be it in the Shai place, be it in any other place, anywhere, not only in the cities. Right in the abbey. God, get them, get this. You get information. If with one single information, you will be able to do a job, I keep on saying, a section of the military, army is the smallest section. If you have the correct intelligence report, pinpoint, accurate report.
There are also appeals to shut down schools in hard-to-reach areas, emphasizing the need for proactive measures. There has been an increase in security convoys heading towards Kuriga, which indicate an ongoing military effort to track down the abductors. Ransom, TVC News, Kaduna.
For more on the Kaduna abduction, the Chief Executive Officer, Beacon Consulting Limited, Dr. Kabiru Adamu, joins me on the news. Good to have you join us.
Pleasure, Precious. Good evening.
What do you make of this Kaduna abduction? And as you tie it into what happened in Borno just days before, do you see a pattern?
Yes, a very simple pattern. Non-state armed groups who are challenging the supremacy of the use of force by the state, who are also telling the state that the state is unable to protect its citizens, and so they are committing different forms of crime against the citizens. It's the same thing in Borno. The second commonality is the existence of ungoverned spaces. In Borno, it was the same thing. They took them into forests and then from there probably to the islands. In Kaduna, it's the same thing. Birningwari is just a couple of kilometers away from Kuriga. So they most likely would have gone there and from there probably to the forest of Zamfara or Katsina. The third one is the weaponry that these non-state actors are holding. In both instances, they are having access to military-grade weapons, and they're able to, come to those locations with very little resistance. And then, of course, the final one is the inability of the current and the existing security infrastructure or the arrangement that we have to prevent all of these things that I've mentioned from happening.
The very last point you made is where I'm really going to draw my next question from, is how this number of people can be taken unchallenged. Does this raise questions about the implementation of the Safe School initiative?
Yes, it does. The truth of it is we need to strengthen accountability within the security architecture. There are about 29 ministries and departments and agencies that have responsibility for security. Time will not allow me to go into the role of each and every one of them. But then the point I'm trying to make is by now, those who should have prevented that abduction from happening should have been queried and then maybe even suspended from their service and then an investigation conducted. The second element is also this current arrangement where from the city center you see a reasonable security presence, but as you go deeper into the rural areas, you now find out that there is not adequate security arrangement. Now, in this particular instance, it happened at around 7:40 a.m. in the morning when the students had gathered for assembly. From the time we introduced the Safe School Initiative, which is around 2014, there has been the Safe School Declaration. There is the policy on safe schools, which we launched in 2019. We brought the whole world to Nigeria, and the Ministry of Education presented to the world the Safe School Initiative. Now, that Safe School Initiative, unfortunately, is evident, it has not been implemented fully. And so that is why you have vulnerable schools like the one in Kuriga. Time will not allow me to go into what the Kaduna state government may have done to prevent this type of incident from happening. So several other state governors have done. But what we haven't done is to do an evaluation, a security evaluation, a risk assessment that would show the schools that are vulnerable, that would also show the level of implementation of all of these policies that I've mentioned. If we had done that, perhaps we would have known that that school is vulnerable. It's very close to Birningwari, like I've mentioned, and would have taken steps. We're also told that the only police formation in that town, Kuriga, closed down not too long ago. So it appears the police were not...
Dr. Adamu, just a minute. Apologies for jumping in, because you mentioned prevention, and I don't want to miss that point, because security experts I will hear say, look, prevention is within your reach. It's something that you can do. But once, that kind of abduction happens, it's almost out of your hands. And we've had the Kaduna state government say they are going to bring every child and everyone abducted back on hot. What will it take?
In simple terms, our national powers. In abduction, you prevent it from happening. After it has happened, to a large extent, you are at the mercy of the abductor. But because this is a public space, there are things I don't want to say. At this point, all I would say is that our intelligence agencies need to wake up. There are pressure points that they can actually use to achieve our objective, which is to get those kids out of the hands of those. So I'm hoping that they already have those pressure points and that they can now take advantage and start using those pressure points.
Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure to speak to you, as always. The Chief Executive Officer, Beacon Consulting Limited, Dr. Kuriga Adamu.
My pleasure. Thank you, Precious.